Good day, people of the internet. My name is Irish Talk, and this is Guild Wars 2 Basics, where I explain the basics of everything in Guild Wars 2 for new and returning players. For this episode, we're going to be talking about character creation, tutorial missions, and worlds or servers. So we're going to start with worlds or server selection. So as soon as you load up the game for the first time, when you get to this menu, you'll be prompted with choosing a server, which you can also find servers down here at World Selection. In this menu, you will find two regions, America, which is NA, and Europe, which is EU. Also Asia, if you're over in China. In here, you'll see the name of a server, the location if it's NA or EU, and the population. Then also, if you have any friends in your contacts, they will come up in which server they're a part of. So choosing a server only affects two things: which world you'll be with for world versus world, and the mega servers. Guild Wars runs off of mega servers, which is every single server in a region can interact with every other server. So I'm on Emery Bay. When I enter a instance, when I enter a map, I can play with people from the Crystal Desert or the Isle of Janthier, and they can play with other people from different servers as well. Then you can also guest to servers by clicking a server then guesting. It's not really that much of a needed thing anymore because of the mega server. You can also transfer servers, but that involves some money or farming gold in game to do that. We're next going to be going into character creation. I'm not going to go into detail on specifics of stuff, but I'll just briefly go over everything. You pick from one of 5 races, either human, Char, Norn, Zura, or Sylvari. For this series, we're going to be playing as a human, but for the next couple explanations of things, we're going to go to the Sylvari page. So, from here you can pick male or female. Then you get to pick from one of the 8 professions. It will soon be 9 with the coming expansion. We have Elementalist, Warrior, Guardian, Engineer, Mesmer, Thief, Necromancer, and Ranger. Now, I would say try out as many of these professions as possible. They all have unique features. They're all interesting in their own ways. Definitely try them out just for the experience. Here, we're going to talk about these 3 icons, and then we'll move over to the human panel for the rest of these. So, here we have the zoom in and zoom out, hide armor, then toggle light. This took me way too long to figure out what it did, or even to use it. So as you can see, the Sylvari's skin glows, and that is only for Sylvari. That's what this light toggles. It toggles the glowing. Then you can change the color of the glowing and intensity, and then patterns, but yeah, that is what the light feature is for. It's very important to make your Sylvari look good. Heading over to the Sylvar. Yeah, humans. Okay, now going into the features, we have body features, which you can change the height and physique of your character. And then also skin color, but you can also do that in the head options later on. Head options. Here you can change the face of your character. We're going to go with that. You can also change the skin color once again. Hairstyle, what your hair will be looking like. There's some hairstyles that have little, like, beads or brooches or whatever in the hair. And that's what the accessory color does. It changes those. So we're just going to go with that. There we go. Then there's also facial hair. But every single race has different options of like features like horns, ears, or tattoos, depending on who you're playing as. Then here you can change the details of the eyes and what eye color they are, the nose, the mouth, and the chin and jaw. Then here in the armor section, you are given selection of different dyes, and these will affect what color they are. But I'm not going to get into the system right now, and you don't have to stick with whatever this is. You can change it in-game at any point, but more details in a future episode. Next panel is the profession-specific section where you choose different options for either headgear or pets. Mainly it's headgear for everyone except for Ranger, which get pets. So here we have like different headpieces. So we're just going to go with this one. Every single race gets a different, not race, every single profession gets different options. Here is your personality thing for your personality for your character, but it doesn't do anything right now. It's been taken out of the game, it just did nothing. Depending on what personality you have, you will get different dialogue options with certain people, but for the most part, it's not in the game at all. Okay, now we get into the section where we choose the backstory for your character that shapes the upcoming quests for your character. So, we're just going to go Born in Streets, then just random one of these. Then you get a little extra background that doesn't really do much. Now we come to the name section. You can do you can do anything for your character. You can have spaces if you want in between each letter. You can have as many spaces, no symbols like numbers or anything. But if you want to have a more lore, a name that fits the lore of your race, you can look at the Guild Wars 2 Wiki. They have guides to that, and it's also Guild Wars 2 Wiki is your friend in many instances of Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars. It's very helpful. So, we're going to be hopping in. And this is the tutorial mission area, where you'll be introduced to several mechanics in-game. Let me just pull those up so I actually know what I'm talking about. Okay. And there's my friend telling me something. Okay, so it teaches you directions and like how to pan camera, but I'll be going over that in a future episode. This introduces you to the story, how the how story instances are directed, where you have this little compass and then dialogue box of what you need to do. And lots of running, since there are no mounts in this game, but there are teleporting waypoint things. Also, I'll go over that in a future episode. You also learn how to, in this instance, how to interact with people. As you can see, this says talk or F button, which is by default, and you'll interact with the person. Now this is the first instance of a dialogue cinematic sequence. This comes up all throughout the game, for most part. And yeah, that's for most story stuff. As you can see down here in the minimap, you can see a green arrow on where we need to go, which this compass also points to. There are enemies around here, but don't bother with them. They're not worth it to fight because you need 2,000 experience points. Each enemy gives you 3 experience points, so you want to get through this zone as fast as possible. Also, I have been in this game for a long time, so there are features I have right away with starting a new character that you might not have if this is your very first character. Oh. Okay, I'll go over dynamic events in a bit. Yeah, so this sequence also introduces you to dynamic events, which are events or like quests that change over time. They'll scale with how many people are around. You can win an event or lose an event, and in any case, it will give you a different option. Also, there's combat, but I'll be going over that in the next episode. Okay, this is your first champion enemy. These enemies are harder to defeat, but they usually give off a lot, well, they always give off more rewards than a regular enemy. They are usually harder than this. Now this is a big boss. You can find these at the end of story instances or in the open world for world bosses. This is your first instance of one. They're usually very hard to kill, but this is the starter zone, so it's a lot easier. And that's the conclusion for this episode of Guild Wars 2 Basics. Join me next episode when we talk about movement and combat. Until then, have a day.